we've had our ups and downs over the years, haven't we?
Oh, please. I love that new word, frenemies.
Frenemies.
Exactly.
I've never heard it before.
We do a lot of those on this show.
Oh, you do? I love it. I've never heard that word.
Yes, we do. We like to make things up like that.
Should I just say, actually, I wouldn't work with someone I didn't love. Do you know what I mean? Same with Culture Club. You know, I wouldn't be on the road with a band I didn't love. So I mean, I wouldn't do it because, you know, I do this because I don't want to work. I don't want a regular job. So I mean, you have to be with people when you do music. It has to be with people that you're friends with and you love. You know.
And when did you become friends? You were quite young, weren't you? Like teenagers.
I was like 14, 15 years old, isn't it?
Yeah, and do you remember that first meeting? Like, where were you? Was it school or a club?
Burned into my brain.
What were you wearing?
Some form of female attire.
I was going to say, when I first met you, you had a frock on and you came in this studio here.
I did not have a frock on.
You did have
I didn't. It was a gorgeous blouse.
All right, you were wearing a blouse.
Sure.
I remember the floor manager said to me, "Who's that?" It was like, it's so outrageous.
You were my first TV interview. My
Yes.
first one, and you were vile. No, you were. You were. I'm sorry, you were.
What did she say? I'm frightened of you. You are such a...
Maybe that was... no, I was frightened. I was frightened. Really scared.
This is like counselling.
I think having a reputation... I was just thinking before, obviously, talking about our sort of feuds and stuff, but I think having a bit of a reputation, like Janet, yours truly, Colleen for sure. When people sort of have an idea of you and then they meet you and you're not that thing, that's the great thing. So having a little bit of a reputation is good, I think.
Don't you often think it's people, so you get people that say, don't ask him this, or don't say that, or she's this. They can make you nervous. Then you meet the person and actually they're really nice. So the two of you were just frightened of each other for no reason.
I think the truth is...
Now I know what she just said, that she was nervous. It makes sense to me because it was... You were asking me questions and then I'd go to answer and then you'd ask another question and another question. Why am I here? It's not like you. It's not like you.
That's what an interview's called.
No, Janet, that's called a monologue. That's called a monologue.
What about your record?
OK. What do you want to know about it? It's out now, buy it. It's so many things. There's so many different layers. Like, when you have a friendship that goes for 40 years, there's so many layers to it. And you add in work, which is a specific environment where you have to conduct yourself in a certain way, and we sometimes fail miserably at that. But in general, because it's all based on love and respect, it works. And if their problems arise, we're both in a place where we've got the experience to be able to work through them. You know?
But what about when you wanted your voice heard?
What, on the record?
You did. Didn't you have him turned down?
Yeah, of course.
I'm in there, though. I understand that, because obviously,
He's got a distinctive voice, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's my record. George is like a huge personality, and he's really good at talking. He's had a lot of practice doing it in this kind of form.
That's about yourself.
Did you look forward to working with each other again, or did you worry with your friendship that, you know, the old kind of flare-ups might happen, or do you think you're in a more mature place now?
You know what? Having rows in the studio, it's so 80s. It's so past.
Yesterday.
Do you know what I mean? Though it's you know, now, weirdly, I feel like we're probably more ambitious now than we were when we were younger, because we didn't really understand what the game was then. You know, when you're young, you just sort of you're on overdrive, and you don't think you're going to be around in 30 years to have a career. Now you've got to be much more, you've got to think about what you're doing. You can't just, wing it.
And what about for you, Marilyn? You know, you've been away for a long time. You've talked about the problem you had with drugs and things. Are you excited to be back? Are you nervous about what it will be? Are you more able to cope with the fame now, do you think?
Yes, absolutely. It's a shock from going into doing TV shows, being in front of an audience and talking publicly about yourself and singing and all the rest of it, performing. But I was in like solitary isolation for like 20 years. I did not leave my room unless it was to...
Is that because you were ashamed of what happened to you, and also when you were famous, you projected this confident image. You had an answer for everything. And then because you went to rock bottom, you didn't want people to see you.
I just didn't want to be conscious, I just didn't want to know. I didn't want to deal with, even like whether it was day or night outside, I closed the curtains and I just switched off, and I didn't. And it was in my mother's house. You know what I mean? Like in her front room. So, and she would walk past in the mornings and look at me, and it was just like I didn't want to know. She'd go, "You've got these letters," and I go, "You open them."
But what was
I don't
the
care.
trigger?
The trigger.
Going to rehab and cleaning yourself up.
To get well, because it felt like I'd gone to. It's like a train on the tracks. It's like it only goes so far, and the next part is death. You know what I mean? And I kept toying with going over that line. It's like, but I didn't want to be responsible for it, which is a huge thing to do with addiction. I wanted it to be like an accident that I'd caused. It was like really like mental.
Yeah.
And glad you didn't do that though.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I get to wear sequins again. Lunchtime.
Just click here to watch more interviews with a whole range of famous faces. And click here to subscribe. It's free, so you'd be silly not to, really.